Here's a question. How do you know your buyer personas are effective? The answer, when sales and marketing both agree they are effective. Welcome to another Sales Enablement mini webinar with me, Adrian Hargreaves. Today's guest speaker is Adele Revella. Adele is the CEO and founder of Buyer Persona Institute and is a leading speaker on the subject and has also written a book aptly named Buyer Personas. Welcome to the webinar, Adele.
Well, thank you, Adrian. Thank you so much for having me today.
It's an absolute pleasure, Adele. And the title of our webinar is How Buyer Personas Can Drive Sales and Marketing Alignment. So, Adele, firstly, if you could please remind us what a buyer persona is, and secondly, can you recommend a structured approach to develop buyer personas which both sales and marketing will endorse?
Yeah, I love the way you phrased that question, Adrian, because it's so confusing for people. So first of all, a buyer persona profiles your buyer in the context of a buying decision that you want to influence. So where people are going astray with buyer personas is it's describing the person and a day in their life, perhaps, but it's missing the critical component of this is how they make the buying decision, that we have to win their business. So one of the structured approach, here's the idea, because this is the key, is that people are building too many personas. And it's just rampant where companies will come to us and say, hey, we need a buyer persona. We have a complex sale. There's 15 people involved in it, and we need 15 buyer personas. And then we're in 4 industries, and we're in 3 different geographies. And if you do all the math on all that, you can end up with 100 or more personas. No chance of aligning sales and marketing around all that noise. So you really only need 2 personas. And you need these 2. In a complex sale, there's really 2 buying decisions. Remember, I said you have personas about a buying decision and the people in the context of that buying decision. And if you think about a complex sale, then what you realize is there's an economic buyer who's making the decision to abandon the status quo and do something now. And that's one of the personas you need. And the second one is the persona we call a lead evaluator. And this is the individual charged with going out and assessing all of the options, weighing the strengths and weaknesses, and drawing a conclusion that one is the best for the company's needs, so that the group of people, which may be 5, 6, 10 people involved in that committee that's doing the evaluation, can actually align and agree on, this is the company we need. This is the right solution for our needs. So imagine this. First of all, you need 2 buyer personas, a lead evaluator and an economic buyer. And then second of all, you need to understand their journey through this evaluation. So we want to make sure that as we interview buyers, and this is what's required, that we interview real buyers, and I'm checking my notes here so that I can remember what you wanted me to talk about here, Adrian. Thank you for doing that. Is that as we interview real buyers about their journey, that we're now making a map of that journey that serves as a map for the activities that sales and marketing is going to engage with, and all the content we're going to deliver, all the messages we're going to deliver along that journey, so that the buyers have that aha moment, that epiphany, and go, oh my gosh, your company is the best match for their needs. So as we're interviewing buyers, the lead evaluator and the economic buyer about their buying decision, we're mapping now out not only where they go and what kinds of assets they're consuming from a company like ours, but we're mapping out all their thoughts, all their expectations, all their barriers and concerns about choosing a solution like ours, so that we get insight into the questions they're asking about that through that journey, so that we really see sort of through their eyes all the choices they're making as they think about which companies are we going to continue to include, which are we going to exclude, how are we going to come to a conclusion that one is best for our needs. We're really looking at their mindset about that decision, and not simply like, oh yeah, do we need a white paper here? When people do journeys like that, it drives me crazy, And that's why I love this question. Thank you for asking it, Adrian. And then the third part of it is, once we really understand the buyer's journey and their questions, and for these two buyers, and remember, the lead evaluator is really reflecting on the needs of that whole buying committee. So through interviews with just the lead evaluator, we can get insight into everyone on that committee, because they were all voicing their concerns during this evaluation, voicing their needs, voicing their goals, so that we can now build a strategy to position our company as an exact match for what that committee is looking for. And so imagine now that your positioning strategy wasn't some dumb exercise in a meeting room with some template we have to fill. We deliver XYZ so that our clients can do XYZ, and it's just like, this stuff makes me insane, because all that's really done is taken our own thoughts, our own ideas, and put them into some format, which, is still not going to impress anyone. But if we've mapped out that buyer's journey, really the way I'm describing, then we can now write a positioning statement and content that is an exact match for what those buyers are seeking. So that when they get to our website or get our content that we're delivering to them, or interact with our salespeople, they say, these people get it. They know what I need. We need to do business with this company. And this is, you asked me to do this in 5 minutes, and I'm happy to do that. The fact is, there's a lot to be said about, what makes all that work. But if we can take this approach to buyer personas, we can actually achieve sales and marketing alignment, because we're aligning around what buyers want. It's not what sales wants. It's not what marketing wants. We're aligning around a strategy to give buyers what they want. It just makes sense to me.
Adele, absolutely fantastic. Great tips. Thank you so much. So let me summarize everything into a couple of takeaways for our audience, if I may. Takeaway 1 is to focus on just two personas, one for the economic decision maker and the second for the lead evaluator. Takeaway 2 is to develop one map of the buyer's journey, which both sales and marketing agree on. And finally, takeaway 3 is to develop your positioning in the market based on what you have learned, on what the buyers want, and what your company's unique ability to deliver on what the buyers want. Is that right, Adele?
You nailed it. You nailed it, Adrian. That's exactly right.
Brilliant. So, thank you, Adele, for sharing your expertise today.
Well, thank you for having me, Adrian. It's my favorite topic. I'm always delighted to have a chance to talk about it.
Yep, and you spoke with real expertise, of course. And if people want to know more about you, Adele, and the Buyer Persona Institute and your book, Buyer Personas, how can they do that?
Well, come to our website. We're easy to find at buyerpersona.com. Makes it pretty easy. We're also on Facebook at Facebook Buyer Persona, LinkedIn Buyer Persona, Twitter at Buyer Persona. We're all in on buyer personas. No surprise, eh?
You've got that one, that's for sure. Brilliant. So that's great. Thank you again, Adele, for your time, and thank you to our audience for your time as well. We hope you've got some great value out of it. I'm sure you must have done today. And so until the next Sales Enablement mini webinar, it's bye for now.